Hey there, true believers. You're tuned into Bastard Building Radio via the Negative Zone feed, and welcome to episode 61 of the Fantastic Four Fancast. My name is Nate Charles. I'm your host, and as always, I am joined by my co-host. His name is Shane Murray. How you doing today, Shane?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. I'm still on vacation, man, but I managed to carve some time out of my schedule to record with you, as is our custom. One of my favorite things to do. And speaking of being on vacation, we're actually joined by a guest today, Shane.
Yes, we are.
Our buddy Robby Nixon. How you doing today, Robbie?
Well, hi there, Nate. I'm doing pretty well, I must say. It's been a nice having you out to visit. It's been lovely here on the West Coast.
Yeah. So Robbie and I just got back from attending San Diego Comic-Con, which was a blast, and made a trip out to the Arizona desert here a couple days ago, which was also pretty fun.
Yes, notably few mad scientists on that trip.
Well, we'll have to change that today. So Shane and I have been doing our best to get Robbie into the Fantastic Four. How have you been enjoying the experience so far, sir?
Well, I have to say, as a novice in the Fantastic Four fandom, I mean, I think my first encounter with the concept was the movies in the 2000s. I've been enjoying it. I enjoy, kind of the 50s style mad science sort of aspect of it and the out there storylines, going to the center of the earth, going out into space, encountering strange, scientifically implausible enemies and phenomena. And those are the parts I think I enjoyed the most about the Fantastic Four, just as a franchise in general.
Oh, that's part of the reason I like it too, as well. The sci-fi aspect is huge. But yeah, glad to have you on here today. I thought it would be fun considering that you yourself are an academic, and the story we're doing today deals with perhaps the maddest academic of them all.
Is
But
he? Is he an academic?
we
I
can
have
talk
questions
about
about
that.
his credentials.
That's fair. Shane, what have you been getting into here over the past couple weeks since we last recorded?
Not a lot because I those working overnights really did me in pretty bad. I started doing card alters for Magic, so I did a sweet Dr. Fate the other night.
Card
Somewhere.
alters are you adjust the art or
Yeah,
very nice.
yeah. Liam wants to do one. I think I'm gonna make a Soul Ring. Like Soul Ring's like a big card in Commander, so you
Hmm.
said you got a Commander starter, right?
Yeah,
You got
so
the
I
FF.
yeah, I actually purchased the Fantastic Four Commander deck at San Diego Comic-Con because I got a good price on it. Gives us more reason to hang out. You can teach me how to play Magic. So,
So the Soul Ring in that one is the Johnny Ring of Fire with the four. So they did something cool for each Soul Ring for that set is they made it thematical to the whatever the commander was, like Cap, Doom, Fantastic Four, and is it Black Panther? I'm pretty sure it's Black Panther. I just know it's Wakanda Forever. I'm just gonna say it's Black Panther. But I want to do a matching one where I want to do a Soul Ring that is a Green Lantern ring, and then I'm going to do a command tower that is the power battery on it.
Nice.
that kicks ass. I like that a lot.
Speaking of comics I like because of science fiction.
Oh, Shane's on a bit of a Green Lantern kick right now.
I mean, I'm always on a Green Lantern kick, but I did do a Flash last night,
Very cool.
which is being very finicky. But
Hmm.
yeah, these markers, these the Posca markers, they are worth their weight in gold. They are stupid expensive, but they're worth their weight in gold. They color so nice. That's what that Soul Ring was done with. The yellow is just so nice. But that's pretty much it. I haven't been able to get to the shop, so my backlog is zero because I've completely caught up. Your backlog's gonna be pretty bad when you get back on, Nate.
I'll have about a month worth of books.
Me
So
too.
I did manage to grab the newest issue of Flash while I've been out here on the West Coast. So
I
excited to.
haven't gotten anything because we stopped Hershey that Sunday. I drove home that Sunday night and immediately went to work the next day and have worked pretty much nonstop since then.
That'll do it.
Well, Shane, with us doing San Diego Comic Con, we did get to experience some news out here as far as the Fantastic Four is related. I mean, of course, there was a lot of press out here for Avengers Doomsday and whatnot, but I think probably the coolest reveals that we got were the reveals from Hasbro. Not only do they do the Avengers Doomsday looks at the Fantastic Four figures and the Doctor Doom figure, but there were also a couple reveals that I think we're all going to enjoy. Did you get a chance to look at any of them?
No, but I did see someone had one of the Fantastic Four things on the show floor, and let me tell you, having fully articulated knees on a thing figure is not a thing I ever thought I would say.
That is a big one, but there's a figure that I've been waiting for a long time that got announced,
See that.
and that would be the Mole Man with the Moloids. This looks absolutely excellent, and they're actually doing a couple more Magic the Gathering sets that are actually pertinent to the Fantastic Four. Doom 2099, and they're doing a Malice figure.
Oh, are they going to do the thing where they come with a special commander card
That is
with
correct,
the
yes.
figure? That's cool.
Yeah. The Malice figure I'm really impressed with because it actually has John Byrne like Sue Storm head sculpts. Of course, they all look extremely angry, so it's not like you can use them with your retro carded Invisible Woman or anything. But still, definitely a couple figures I'm gonna need to add to the Fantastic Four collection.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love Mole Man.
And I mean, you just can't beat those Mololi figures that are with it. I'm almost disappointed that they don't have. I believe it's a Turg head, the one that was floating around in the Future Foundation for
Oh,
the
oh yeah,
classic
yeah,
run.
yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity, but I think there's also a couple interchangeable heads in there that maybe you could kind of, you know, do your own if you were so inclined and talented.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw a lot of cool stuff at San Diego Comic Con. Robbie, as our guest, what was the coolest thing you saw out there?
Coolest thing I saw on the showroom. I mean, there was a lot of very cool art. I think I very much enjoyed the Godzilla stand. That was a good time for me. I sort of rediscovered my fandom for kaiju stuff. So that was a very good time. I also very much enjoyed quite randomly the sort of Lovecraftian themed t-shirt stand. That was a good time. But I think hands down in terms of like at least comic book related stuff, I think it was the oh, which art stand, the Cyclops, the really cool Cyclops statue with the
Sideshow
beams aiming
collectibles.
down the side. Yes, thank you. Sideshow. As always, Sideshow knocked it out of the park. Like so many amazing things that I wish I was a millionaire to get my hands on.
That Jubilee is very nice.
She was there. That Jubilee statue was also there.
Yep.
Abs Absolutely incredible sculpting work on both of those, and really everything that they put together.
I was actually surprised they showed off the Severus because they said that it was up for pre-order so that he was in the one stand. I don't know how much you guys got to walk around. Sideshow.
We saw all of it.
He's
Hmm.
priced really reasonably to be a mixed media statue. He's only like 120.
Dang, that is very impressive for Sideshow.
Yeah, I was shocked. Well, especially being mixed media, so it's got he's resin, but they have cloth with it. That usually super jumps the price.
Is it up for pre-order now, or is it available
Yeah,
to
it's been up
purchase?
for pre-order for like 2 months and it's still on pre-order. If you go to their website, it still had the old image of like the pre-order image. It didn't even have that up. I have friends that are really into Harry Potter, so I was like, I found a someone that recorded just that, and I sent it to like a short on like YouTube or something, and I sent it to him. It's like you guys might be interested in this.
Well, here's hoping they get their hands on it.
If anyone was going to, it'd be them.
All right, so with today's book, we got a couple first appearances going on. And what is that book?
Fantastic Four 15.
Yeah, Volume 1, number 15. The debut appearance of the Mad Thinker, who I see as a more or less corrupt academic. Now, Robby, who is an academic, may want to argue this point with me, and I'll allow him to do so if he so wishes to.
I mean, I just want to know what his academic credentials are. That's all because he shows up in this comic and he just starts spouting off about how he has this amazing, computing machine and how he thinks a lot, but like I don't know. I don't know if it's more or less academic for your ultimate goal to actually just be to crown yourself the king of crime and take over a city. Either he has definitely been through grad school, or he never has.
I think of him as the corrupt Alan Turing.
The corrupt Alan Turing. I do kind of like that. He did strike me as something of a AI bro, like
Yeah.
his thing does sort of become, oh, look at these amazing ideas that I have after I put them into a computer and had it verify all of my ideas. It
Yeah.
actually, it felt kind of applicable to a lot of what's happening today.
Or, as I stated, the corrupt version of Alan Turing. If Alan Turing went evil.
Yeah, which he had every right to do, really,
Oh, he really, really did.
for
He,
how he was treated.
yeah.
Now, Robby, part of your job in academia is that you need to go through and catch students using artificial intelligence, correct?
That is correct. Yes, I spend a lot of time doing precisely that.
Is it somewhat frustrating to you?
For the process?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's very frustrating. I get the impulse. I mean, as long as there has been teaching, there has been cheating. So I certainly understand the impulse, but it is frustrating because cheating used to take a different kind of intelligence to do, you know? And now you can just sort of plug things in to a language model and it will come up with a combination of words that will more or less achieve what you want it to achieve with zero real effort on your part required. So, for example, Cliffs Notes or Spark Notes. In order to use those in place of reading, you actually still have to do some reading, and at the end of the day, you still understand the concept. There's no comprehension required when you plug things into AI. You don't have to check your work. You don't have to, do any additional effort whatsoever. It's a different animal, really. Like it's one of those things where in the act of finding a version of a text, for example, and then writing down the summary, at least you're learning something. It's not what maybe you were asked to learn. It's maybe not what you were asked to do, but you're still taking something away from it at the end of the day. It's not really required with AI. You just sort of give it the prompt, it spits something out, you put it in. You don't even have to interact with the concept at all. So, if anything, it's a version of cheating that is worse than normal because at least normally you can get enough knowledge to pass a test, maybe. And the AI sort of takes away from that. It's just giving you the answers, and often those answers are wrong anyway.
Now, that being said, the reasons I invited you on this show, and because we are doing Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 15, the first appearance of the Mad Thinker, I thought it would be fun because, full disclosure, Robby is also Shane and I's dungeon masters for the D&D game that we play in.
It
And
is
you
true.
you sometimes bring a sense of megalomania to your DMing when you're doing these games.
I like crazy people.
So,
What can I say?
so what I would like to do today is, as we do our dramatization and analysis of Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 15, I would like you to bring a sense of megalomania and a sense of how the other side lives, really, as far as AI is concerned, to the Mad Thinker, if you'd be so willing.
I am so willing. I think that is a delightful challenge to take up because he does read in a lot of ways like a classic megalomaniacal character from comics, but he has such a unique take. He has such a unique self-image and self-voice, you know. So yes, I would very much delight in doing that. I'll try to channel some lichdom in there because I can't think of a D&D villain more maniacal than a lich or a mind flayer or something like that. But of course, he is but a human who is frankly cheating at crime by using AI. So I'll channel a bit of that as well.
Fantastic. So, today's issue was cover dated for June of 1963, but was released on March 12th of 1963 with a cover price of 12 cents. Now, before we get down to the issue itself, Shane and I always play a game, and that is the Shane Showcase. Shane, are you ready to guess some values?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I got two for you today. How much do you think an ungraded copy of this book is sold for at maximum?
147. $147.
You're on the low end of the spectrum this week, $270.
Okay.
Wow.
That's reasonable.
All right, now that we've got the reasonable price out of the way, how
Mm,
much how much would you guess a graded 9.8 copy of this book has sold for at maximum?
19,000.
I'll give you one more guess.
Uh, 24,000.
$33,460.
Wow.
Yeah, these original Stan and Jack issues get very pricey.
Sometimes they're real hit and miss on which ones are super pricey.
Oh, this is a couple of first appearances here. And speaking of Stan and Jack, the creative team for today's issue was writer Stan Lee, penciler Jack Kirby, inker Dick Ayers, colorist Stan Goldberg, letterer Artie Simic, and the editor and editor-in-chief duties were taken by Stan Lee. The cover for today's issue was done by Jack Kirby, Dick Ayers, Stan Goldberg, and Artie Simic. Would you like to take us through that, Shane?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a beautiful corner box with the Fantastic Four faces in there. And then we have, the good old tagline of the world's greatest comic magazine. And then the Fantastic Four, like, it stands out really nice against that bright yellow background. I think that's very nice contrast of colors there. Then you have the text box there that says featuring the Mad Thinker and his awesome android. And then you have some lovely word bubbles from, let's see, the Mad Thinker, Johnny, Ben, and Civilian.
The most important Fantastic Four character, Civilian Man.
At least they were destroying their own building this time.
I did make
Uh,
a comment about him when I was first reading it. How convenient it is that he has opinions about what's happening right here on the cover.
Anyway, you have the four getting bombarded by these well, they're the grav guns from later on in the book. You had Mad Thinker's little entourage of henchmen there just blasting away and trying to control the four.
Meanwhile, the Mad Thinker sits off to the side, the awesome android standing alongside of him with his arms folded. And what does the Mad Thinker say as he gestures towards the Fantastic Four, Robbie?
Let none of the Fantastic Four leave alive. The Thinker commands it.
As Johnny exclaims, He he's turning our own weapons against us. We haven't a chance. And the passerby who was looking through the hole in the yellow wall at the agonized Fantastic Four says, not only has the Mad Thinker taken over the Fantastic Four's headquarters, but he's beating them at their own game. While Ben crawls towards the gang that is armed with the grav guns and says, just wait. Sooner or later, I'll get my mitts on you. Just wait. And we open up to the first page, and we are greeted with the title of today's story, which is what, Shane?
The Fantastic Four battle, the Mad Thinker and his awesome android.
Which is apparently a book-length saga. And can you describe the awesome android to us, Shane?
Sure, he's gray, has no facial structure or really like minus the fact that it has limbs and like thrown together loincloth there for covering. It really just looks like some putty thrown together in a corner made by a small child.
And we have a caption which takes the form of an arrow pointing at the awesome android that reads, the android, neither animal nor vegetable nor mineral. What is it? And we see the mad thinker sitting in the pose of Rodin's thinker, accompanied by an armed guard. Shane, what does the mad thinker look like?
He is in all green with some brown boots. He has some brown hair. He's got intensely intense eyes. He is an older gentleman, probably. I see, it's so hard to pinpoint the ages of these older characters because people just looked older back then. Life was harder. They're not soft like us now. So I don't know. Probably late 40s, early 50s, and he's fed up and he thinks he's gonna outthink the world.
And we also see the Fantastic Four in the background. Well, or rather, the headshots of the Fantastic Four in the background, looking on in awe at the thinker. And we turn our page where our narration reads, you are now experiencing one of the most exciting moments in magazine reading, the start of an all new Fantastic Four adventure. This is New York, home of the famous Baxter Building, which houses the Fantastic Four's skyscraper headquarters. Suddenly, a lean, powerful hand fires a bright flare into the evening sky, and our adventure into fantasy begins. And what happens, Shane?
Reed shoots out a flare that lights up the sky with a big number 4.
And a passerby points up and says, look, the red alert signal of the Fantastic Four. Not far away, in a quiet lane in Central Park, we find a teenager and his date. And just who is this teenager?
Oh, none other than Johnny Storm himself.
And his date, a redheaded girl, doesn't seem happy. Of course I'm angry, Johnny. Do you know how many dates you've broken with me? Aw, Peggy, you know I couldn't help it. But I'm here now, and there's a moon above, and you sure look gorgeous. Oh, Johnny, how I've longed for this wonderful moment. And she leans in to give Johnny a kiss when he sees what?
He sees the 4 in the sky, so
Great balls of fire! At a time like this? Sorry, Peg, I'll have to leave you for a while. Hope you can drive. Flame on! And Johnny rockets up into the air as Peg sighs, oh no, not again. And in a Chi-Chi beauty parlor on Fifth Avenue, what do we see here?
we see Sue getting her hair done, so she's getting her perm on.
As is the woman next to her who is reading the newspaper and says, I just know I've seen that girl somewhere. And the hairdresser approaches Sue. And what does he say, Robbie?
Ah, Miss Storm, now for the supreme moment. I personally shall create your new hairdo. I have cancelled all other appointments so that I could devote myself entirely to you today.
And Sue glances out the window of the salon and sees what, Shane?
She sees the flare in the sky.
Reed's signal. It means come a running no matter what. And Sue runs from the salon, much to the chagrin of the hairstylist.
Wait! You can't do this to me! I shall destroy myself!
You and me both, Pierre. I've waited months for our appointment. Better turn invisible. I can't run through the street with curlers in my hair. And Sue does so as our scene shifts. And what of the gentle, good natured, peace loving member of the Fantastic Four? Ah, here he is, as lovable and shy as ever. And where have we found bashful Benjamin J. Grimm, Shane?
Oh, on Yancey Street.
And he's holding a picture in his hand while he shakes his fist. What is it, Shane?
It's a picture of him in a tutu that says "Thing is a sissy."
Signed, the Yancey Street Gang. Send me a picture like this, will they? When I get through with that crummy Yancey Street Gang, it'll take a blotter to mop 'em up. And we see the Yancey Street Gang start to heckle Ben from the rooftops. Look, there's the thing. So the ugly lump got our love letter. You, pretty boy, here we are. We're waiting for you, fathead. And what does Ben grab in response to the gang's jeering?
A bulldozer. He finds a bulldozer.
And he lifts it up over his head while he yells, It's them on the roof. Don't go away, creeps. I'll toss you a little bouquet. But before he can do so, what happens?
He now sees the four symbol in the sky.
Cripes, just when the party was getting started. And as Ben turns away, the Yancey Street Gang continues to shout, We knew it! He's scared of us. Where you going, thing? Home to get help? Oh, did the nice little thing forget to bring his nursemaids? Ha ha! So help me one of these days. And they begin to pelt Ben with refuse and vegetables. Minutes later, at the Fantastic Four's ready room, Ben enters to see who, Shane?
The rest of the FF already gathered.
Reed says. Come in, Ben. We've been waiting for you. Reed didn't want to explain until we were all together. Well, now, ain't that real neighborly of him? Okay, now what's all this about, Reed? Looks to me like Rubberface just likes to shoot his little flare gun. Why don't you take up a new hobby, like playing in traffic? Yeah, why the red alert? Doesn't look like an emergency to me. Suppose you both button up for a while and give me a chance to explain. I didn't want to interrupt what I was doing any more than you did. I'm right in the middle of a crucial experiment with DNA, the basic cells, which are the building blocks of life itself. And how's Reed's DNA model looking here, fellas?
I mean, the DNA model is all over the place. I don't know if there's A's, T's, G's, or C's going on, but it's certainly a unique take. I assume some sort of super science is at play.
And in the next panel, Reed does hold up a vial with what looks like a tadpole in it and says, I've already managed to create a primitive form of one-celled life which lived for a few seconds. Do you think I feel like stopping now? That is not one-celled life.
No, that is an adorable tadpole with a little. It almost looks like it has a sail or a
Yeah,
dorsal fin.
it yeah, it's got like the Spinosaurus fin and it's like a weird salamander.
It's
The
actually
only
kind of
thing I
cute.
the only thing I can possibly think of to like rationalize this panel is like whatever vial he's in is like has like a microscope filter on the outside of it. But even
Sure.
so, it doesn't look like a single-celled organism.
I mean, do you think that Jack or Stan knew what a single cell organism looked like?
Well, I hate to besmirch the king, but touche.
Hey, if he says it's single cell, then it's single cell. It's a triumph of science, is what it is.
Which, I mean, what does Reed Richards do if not triumph over science, I guess?
He's trying to bring back
Exactly.
the dinosaurs.
Reed continues with his explanation. But I received an urgent call from the chief of police. His department reports that top mobsters and gang leaders from all over the country are flocking to New York. There's something big in the wind, and he wants us alerted. And as Mr. Fantastic speaks, what do we see, Shane?
We see a car of people driving in. It looks like they're driving away from the city, but I'm guessing they're driving into the city.
I mean, New York is large, right? Maybe they're passing to a different borough. And we see the thinker in his lab, his fist up towards his chin, much like the Rodin statue from which he takes his name, and he says,
It's exactly 12:42 p.m. They should be entering in 1.5 seconds.
1.5 seconds later, three mobsters enter the room. One on the left says, Okay, thinker, here we are. And while a burly one in the middle says, Start the ball rolling. It ain't healthy for us to be together under one roof. And a skinnier mobster on the right says, And no funny stuff, see? We got boys posted all around this joint. And another mobster pipes up, Quiet, you guys. The thinker is thinking. And the thinker sits at a giant, very overcomplicated Kirby-esque adding machine, from what I could tell, and says,
These are my thoughts. I have summoned you to help me form a gigantic kingdom of crime, with me as the king. For with my fabulous brain and my infallible computing machines, I can outplan the law at every turn. Until this moment, the police have not even dreamt of my existence, but I shall remain hidden no longer. With you, the most powerful gang leaders of all, I shall devise a foolproof plan to capture and take control of New York City itself.
And we see the thinker's wildest dreams as from a chauffeured car he stands in kingly robes and a crown.
I will proclaim New York an independent nation, with me as its ruler, and you shall be my crime enforcement officers. My plan cannot fail, for I have worked it out to the last detail on my computing machines. I shall even appoint ambassadors to other American cities. I will sign treaties with the rest of America and negotiate trade and foreign aid pacts.
And we see one of the mobsters now dressed like a regent as he carries a contract to a world leader and says, These are the thinker's terms. You better accept them if you don't want a war on your hands. And back in reality, one of the mobsters looks over the thinker's shoulder and says, It sounds interesting, thinker, but I think you forgot one little detail. You don't suppose the Fantastic Four will be twiddling their thumbs while all this is going on?
The thinker forgets nothing.
Yeah, well, if anyone can boot you out from under that crown you're counting on, Mr. Fantastic's the guy to do it. No one's ever beat him yet. And we see this mobster imagining Reed using his elastic limbs to toss the thinker into the air. While another mobster says, And then there's the Human Torch. No matter how smart you are, he'll find some way to give you the hottest throne in history. I wouldn't want to mess around with him. And we see this mobster imagining the thinker being surrounded by a spiral of flame created by Johnny. And another gangster shares his thoughts. And even if you don't put him out of action, don't forget the invisible girl. What's to stop her from sneaking up on you anytime, unseen, taking you by surprise? And we see Sue, invisible, hog tying the thinker to his bed. And yet a fourth mobster says, Way I see it, you'll be lucky if you're caught by one of them, because I figure it'll be a lot better than letting the thing get his paws on you. And we watch as the thinker flees from Ben smashing through a wall. But the thinker takes umbrage with this back in reality.
Silence, you intellectual pygmies! Don't you think I've already planned how to get the Fantastic Four out of the way? I never overlook any detail. Look at these banks of computers, the greatest array of thinking machines ever assembled under one roof, and all for one purpose, to make me the king of crime. My machines and I have already devised a foolproof plan, not only to rid us of the Fantastic Four, but also to take over their headquarters with all its priceless secrets. My master plan has been worked out to the last minute detail. Nothing has been left to chance. With the aid of my calculators, I know everything that has ever happened. And most important of all, I can predict everything that ever will happen, down to the last split second.
And we do see the Thinker's calculation machine. Can you explain how this breaks down, Shane?
Sure, we have starting from top going to bottom, we have fact obvious, remote, fact incidental, observations, possibilities, and probabilities. And then next to those, starting from top to, well, his shoulder, you have weather, wind velocity, tidal pool, and sunspots. If there's another one behind him, you don't see it.
And the Thinker continues with some examples of his work.
Don't you remember that $1 million bank haul I pulled last year? It succeeded because I knew a hot dog vendor would pass by at just the right split second.
And we see this vendor get between pursuing police and escaping criminals as one officer yells, "Don't shoot, boys. We're liable to hit that guy with the push cart." Seems
And remember the time I escaped a pursuing patrol car because a water main burst just as I had driven by? Well, I knew it was about to burst at that moment. It was part of my plan.
and we do see a water main basically destroy an entire street as a car escapes through it from a patrol car.
Yep.
Now, my personal favorite part. Just as it was part of my plan to know that an organ grinder's monkey would accidentally start a fire in a deserted shack, thereby burning some valuable papers which contained enough evidence to send me to jail for years. That's why I am the Thinker.
And I'm sorry, but this does not look accidental at all. This looks like this monkey is deliberately setting fire to papers inside this warehouse.
He exactly has a match, a lit match.
It's just a monkey.
But it's not, Shane. It's an organ grinder's monkey.
But I mean, like, I meant the actions. Like, have you ever been at a zoo where like they're like, here, feed this monkey Cheerios or Fruit Loops, and then like after a minute they start throwing them at you because they think it's funny?
Shane, are you trying to say that all monkeys are arsonists, but not all arsonists are monkeys? Is that what we're...
Yes. Yes.
Oh no.
I don't think monkeys should be allowed to have a match. That's all I'm saying.
I can't take issue with that.
Yeah, you know what? Anyway, we see that one of the mobsters isn't buying what the Thinker is selling as he puts on his hat and lights a cigarette. Yeah? Well, you may be snowing these other jokers, but I ain't buying. I'm cutting out.
Naturally, I knew you would.
Nuts. Yeah, just a lot of talk. Anytime something happens, you say you expected it. You're just a phony, Mac.
Am I? In exactly 18 seconds, you will realize how wrong you were. Now get out.
And exactly 18 seconds later, what happened, Shane?
He gets stopped by the feds.
Well, well, if it isn't Blackie Star. How nice of you to walk right into us this way. The feds! I'm trapped! The Thinker knew this would happen. Those machines of his really work. What a chump I was. And we see that the Thinker and his gang have been watching this go down from the window above.
I trust you gentlemen observed what has just transpired below.
And right to the second, just like you said. Looks like you really are all that you claim to be, Thinker. Okay, Thinker. We're with you all the way. But how you gonna handle the Fantastic Four?
I've been working on that project for months. Watch. Each member of the Fantastic Four is a separate and distinct problem, and I've fed my computers all the available data about them. After careful analysis, my machines and I have come up with these solutions. Problem 1, the Human Torch. I've arranged for two men to arrive in New York at this very moment. According to my calculations, they'll do our job for us.
And describe the two men who have arrived in New York, Shane.
Yeah, one is super tall and one is super short. The tall guy has a hat and a very long green coat, and the super short one is wearing a purple coat.
And the taller gentleman says, Mighty big town, ain't it, Shorty? While the smaller gentleman says, You said it, Bones. And who comes flying up to these two gentlemen, Shane?
None other than Johnny Storm himself.
And Bones says, There he is now, right on time. Hi, Cousin Johnny. Cousin Bones, welcome to New York. Man, he sure is a corker, isn't he? Look at him flame around up there. Flame off, Johnny says as he lands. I got your telegram. What's the trouble, cousin? It's my circus, Cousin Johnny. All of a sudden, business has dropped off. I need me a real star attraction to get the crowds back again, or else I'll lose everything. I was wondering about you, Johnny. Gosh, a chance to be a circus star. If only I could.
Problem two, Mr. Fantastic at the executive offices of General Electronics Limited.
We see three older gentlemen meeting around a desk with a janitor in the background, and the first one says, Gentlemen, we need a scientific genius to head our electronic research division. Whom do you suggest? Beats me, Roger. Top research specialists just don't grow on trees. I can't think of a man in the field who's big enough for the job. At that moment, as though prearranged by fate, a janitor carelessly lays a copy of a magazine he had been reading on a massive oak desk. Well, keep working on it, gentlemen. We must find the right man for the job, and soon, says the gentleman in charge as he walks into the room with the janitor, who thinks, I'll just leave this here for a few minutes while I mop up the hall. Then, just as the thinker knew it would, the brightly colored cover catches the industrialist's eye and... Cartwright, Van Dor, come here. I've found the man we're looking for. In the Fantastic Four comic magazine? What do you mean, Roger? Of course, we should have thought of it before. Reed Richards, the most gifted inventive genius of our time. We'll send for him immediately. Problem 3. The Thing. In a local gym, a shifty-eyed wrestling manager makes Ben Grimm a tempting offer. I tell you, Thing, if you sign up with me, we can make a fortune. You'd be the biggest wrestling attraction since Strangler Lewis. Yeah, I know. It sounds good, but I got other things to do. Is that so? Could be you're afraid to meet Fatal Finnegan, the idol of the Yancey Street gang? Me? Afraid? I don't like that kind of talk, squirt. And what does Ben do, Shane?
We need some public destruction, so we put a hole right through a wall, and then we hang up our guy that offered us a job.
And as Ben walks away from this gentleman, he says, Now you just wait there till I get back. I gotta talk this over with my partners. Shit. Sure thing. I'll hang around. Problem 4. The Invisible Girl. At the entrance to a local orphanage, where Sue Storm has just entertained the children, what do we see, Shane?
We see a car driving by as Sue's out front entertaining a lot of children, and a man steps out to approach her to talk to her.
This man says to his driver, Blast it, Higgins. I'm a half hour late for rehearsal. How do we wind up in this out of the way neighborhood? His chauffeur says, I don't know, sir. It's as though someone deliberately put up detour signs all over the city. Shall I call the theater and tell them to hold up the auditions until... Hang the auditions! I've found the girl I'm looking for to star in my new show. I must hire her at any cost. And the gentleman approaches Sue as she continues to play with the children. Later that day, at their headquarters, three restless, thoughtful people wait for the fourth to arrive. And what do we see inside the Baxter building, Shane?
We see all three members contemplating what they were going to do with their life choices here going ahead.
Ben thinks, I don't want to bust up the team, but it sure would be a kick to pulverize Fatal Finnegan in a wrestling match. A chance to star in a Broadway show. How can I turn it down? I'll bet most any kid in the world would jump at the chance to join the circus. And Cousin Bones really needs me to help him get back on his feet. He says it's almost as though someone has been planning for his show to fail, because he's had a dozen serious accidents lately. And what does Johnny do with his flame here, Shane?
He is making like a flame hat on this statue.
Anyhow, things are slow around here lately. It sure would be a gas to meet all those cool circus chicks. I'll bet I could be a one-man show with all these tricks I thought up. And Johnny begins to juggle fireballs as Ben comes up behind him. Hey, brat, stop smoking up the joint, will ya? Go fry your hat, big mouth. And what does Johnny do?
Makes like a dragon head to attack Ben.
Look out! That does it. I'm gonna douse that flame of yours and then. Who shows up on the scene?
Reed shows up right at the best moment.
Thing, torch, knock it off. Heck, Reed, this is the most fun anyone's had around here for days, says Johnny as he avoids a pail of water being hurled at him by Ben. And Ben points at Reed accusingly. Let's face it, pal. Johnny's right. We ain't cut out for twiddling our thumbs. We're all getting restless. Yes, perhaps we all need a vacation. I was about to suggest the same thing. Maybe a temporary separation would do us all some good. That's the coolest. But what about those mobsters hitting New York and the trouble we're supposed to be watching for? We can always return to home base in a hurry. I can be reached at General Electronics in New England. Me, I'll be traveling through the South with Bones and Bailey Circus. You'll read about me in the papers. I'm going to be the next sensation of the grunt and groan circuit in the Midwest. And I'll be in Hollywood rehearsing for my very first starring role. And so, unsuspected by the Fantastic Four, all the tiny details of the Thinker's master plan fall neatly into place. He has won the first round of a fight which the colorful quartet doesn't even know it's fighting. I tell you what, I have serious problems with the fact that Reed just goes, we can always come back in a hurry after making such a big deal about the crime wave that is encroaching upon the city.
Yeah, there's issues.
Well, maybe the mayor wasn't clear about the depth of the danger in that phone call we weren't privy to.
That is fair. We have heard the police commissioner tutory out on the phone before, though, have we not, Shane?
Yes, we have.
And we see each member of the Fantastic Four donning civilian clothes as they prepare to travel. Ben says, you know something? This is the first time we ever busted up. It's a spooky feeling. You're right, Ben. Oh, we'll get together again after a while. At last, I can dress the way I've always wanted to. And how is Sue dressed, Shane?
She's got like looks like a fur coat on with a fur little hat.
You know what's ironic about this statement, Shane, is the fact that Sue's the one who designed the Fantastic Four uniforms back in issue 3.
That's right, because she's supposed to work at Dior. Don't
Right.
forget that.
Yeah. How could we not? And Ben goes to Johnny and says, never thought I'd say this, small fry, but I'm gonna miss you. Sure, you big lug. Nobody else would put up with you. Take care of yourself, big fella. And the four head for the elevator, and Ben thinks, for 2 cents, I'd try to get him to call the whole thing off. Nuts. What's the matter with me? It ain't the end of the world. Everybody needs a vacation sometime. And now, back to the man whose meticulous planning has brought about the events you have just witnessed. Back to the Thinker.
It is now exactly 3 minutes after 4. They should just be leaving their headquarters at this moment.
And one of his gang says, okay, Thinker, let's say they are. What good does that do us? Yeah, what's our next move? How do we take over the city?
The very forces of nature herself will help us. My machines have calculated the course of an approaching meteor, which will strike New York Harbor in exactly 15 seconds. I knew of this impending event weeks ago and included it in my plans. It will be our signal to strike.
At the precise split second predicted by the thinker, a hurtling meteor does indeed plummet into the waters outside of New York's lower bay. Although no one is injured, the shock of the impact causes a temporary panic among the populace. And we see several citizens, along with a truck, get impacted by the tremor on the streets of New York as one yells, "What happened? What was that? Maybe we're being attacked. It must be war." Minutes later, as the shock wears off, the truth is learned and the panic ends. But a new danger appears. The violent earth tremor has knocked out all electrical power in the sprawling city and caused numerous small fires and explosions. And what do we see here, Shane?
We see firefighters coming down the street. We see a group of civilians staring at some flames.
One of the firefighters goes, "It'll take hours to get things back to normal in Midtown New York." While the onlookers say, "Wow, did one little meteorite do all that? Look, all the streetlights have gone out. There are flames in Central Park." And, taking advantage of the confusion, the Thinker and his men invade the now deserted stronghold of the Fantastic Four. And one of the Thinker's men, armed with a submachine gun, says, "You are right, Thinker. With the electricity knocked out, none of Mr. Fantastic's protective devices are working."
This is the only time his headquarters could be broken into, and due to my foolproof planning, we were able to cash in on it.
And the Thinker enters Reed's laboratory.
Ah, what a vast treasure trove of science this is, and all its secrets shall now be mine.
And the Thinker happens upon Mr. Fantastic's journal.
This is even better than I expected. Here are Mr. Fantastic's notes concerning his work with DNA, the building blocks of life itself. Using this information, I should be able to create a new form of life, one which will serve only the thinker.
But let us take our leave of the Thinker for a while and view a scene which takes place days later in the northern part of Florida, where we see what, Shane?
We see the circus. Johnny doing some acrobatic stuff around lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and every other trick he can think of.
I'm going to have to disagree with you because there's no tiger nor bear. There is a horse and an elephant.
Yeah, lions and tigers and bears.
Anyway, as Johnny does these tricks through these animals that we disagree on, the lion tamer says, "It's amazing. Ever since the torch has been the star of our circus, we've played to capacity crowds at every show." And the crowd praises the torch as he flies about. "Yay! Look at that! The torch can do anything. More, more." And the ringmaster announces, "And now, for his final act, the fantastic Human Torch will perform every known circus stunt at the same time." And what does that look like?
He's got rings like he's hula hooping around all of his torso, his legs, his arms. He's got a ball he's balancing a flame on one foot. And he's also with his left arm, he's got like a ring going out that he's shooting a spark through.
But when the final performance of the day is ended, in the solitude of his room, Johnny Storm begins to brood. And he's got photos of the other members of the Fantastic Four on his wall. And he solemnly looks at him as he thinks, "Never realized how empty the sound of applause can be. Same old act day after day. I can't take much more of it. I wonder how the others are doing now." And as far as the others, our scene now shifts to a movie location on the West Coast. And what are we looking at, Shane?
There's is that like a camera boom filming down at Sue as she's walking through this modified version of the desert that they've built these props for as they're filming a scene.
Yeah, and she looks to be decked out a little unusually, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very like 50s sci-fi.
As the director yells, "Okay, Miss Storm, this is the final take. Remember, you're the first female in space lost on an unknown planet. Roll 'em! More smaltz, baby. Give it more emotion. Come on, look scared." And we see a prop alien arm wheel its way into frame on a pulley system, and it grabs Sue, who thinks, "I always thought acting would be fun. What a fool I was." The director continues, "Look out! That prop monster's foot is shaking too much. Wheel's coming loose. We'll have to shoot it over again. Cut!" While in a New England electronics lab, we see one of the executives with Reed as he examines his machine. The executive asks, "Say, what's going on here, Richards? Forgive me if my methods are a little unorthodox. I'd like to examine my apparatus from the inside as well as the outside." And Reed is squeezing himself out of the inner workings of the machine and then proceeds to take measurement with a tape measure. But how does he go about doing this, Shane?
He uses his arms to stretch out to measure it. It looks like a giant bow. It's kind of cool.
We'll need this much more clearance on all future devices, according to my estimates. Do you have to emphasize your points so dramatically, Richards? This is a laboratory, not a carnival. And the executive turns to leave. Well, stay at it. I'll check your progress tomorrow again. Good day. And I thought this was what I wanted. I realize now that I'm just not cut out to work for anyone else. I have to do things my own way, without interference. And at a Midwestern sports arena, the Thing also realizes that being on his own isn't quite the ball he thought it would be. And what's Ben got going on here?
Ben is in the middle of a wrestling match.
Can you describe his opponent to us?
Yeah, he is a big burly guy with some chest hair and arm hair and has a brown hair and a brown beard and it's got his little trunks on there that are also brown. Just a very tune-tone man.
And he's trying to grab Ben in what looks like a full Nelson as Ben says, "Hey, big brain, how long do I have to waltz this baboon around the ring?" And the promoter on the outside says, "Until I tell you to stop. We got to give the fans a show for their money." And Ben's opponent grabs him in an ankle lock and whispers to him, "Hey, Oakley, look at that blonde tootsie in the front row. After I'm through with you up here, I'm gonna go get me a date with that doll. Va-va-voom." "You crummy creep. That's Alicia. That's my girl you're talking about. I'll show you who's gonna date Alicia." And what does Ben do, Shane?
He starts spinning him around on his one finger like he's a basketball before he goes to chuck him.
"Hey, stop! Cut it out! This ain't in the script. Help! If you still want to meet Alicia after you come back from my boomerang throw, then we'll talk it over." And Ben sends this man spinning through the air. And the air makes a sound, Shane.
Yeah, zoom.
And you get a close up on Ben as he brings his hands up in front of his face and begins to form fists. "Here he comes. Now to give him a nice warm reception." And in the next panel, what do we see, Shane?
We see that his opponent is now tied to one of the poles in the ring with a sign that says "Do not open till Christmas."
"You can't do this to me. I demand a rematch. I, ugh. Come on, kid. We're going home. If that's what wrestling is, you can have it. Me, I'll stick to tiddlywinks." And Ben puts his arm around Alicia and they walk out of the arena. And so the colorful quartet, as though by prearranged signal, all return to their home base, the bustling metropolis of New York, at the same time. And a cab pulls away from the foursome as Ben waves goodbye. So long, Alicia. See you later. Johnny says, Boy, am I glad to see you all again. Even you, Ben. And as they reach the mighty Baxter building, Reed says, Got to admit it feels wonderful to be back in the harness. If you ever hear me knock these uniforms again, just. But Johnny notices something and points to the sky. Hey, look! What what's happened to our headquarters? And he takes to the air, and what does he see?
He sees that the building has become crystallized.
The whole building has turned into a gigantic crystal. But how? What does it mean? And he returns to the ground and begins to shoot flame at the crystallized building as the rest of the Fantastic Four begin to look for any sort of opening in the wall. It's incredible. The very elements of the building themselves must have been transmuted. This is a new unknown substance. I can't even poke a hole through it. A thing like that can give a guy a complex. This means we're locked out of our own headquarters. It's heat resistant too. And Reed begins to extend his arms and his fingers. I'll probe for cracks. Perhaps there's a weak spot somewhere. Booey, that's too slow. Maybe I can just dig our way in. I'll be through this concrete sidewalk in no time. And Ben begins hurling chunks of the earth behind him. But Reed turns around and looks at the crowd behind them who just keep passing by, not noticing the events. There's even more to this than meets the eye. Look at all these passers-by. No one seems to notice what's happened to the building. They don't even seem to see it. Suddenly, the face of the Thinker appears projected right through the strange shimmering crystal wall.
Naturally, no one notices. I have an electronic hypno-ray field around this entire building. I've been expecting you, for I am the Thinker.
The Thinker?
I've modified my hypno-ray so that only you four are aware of my presence, for you are to be my greatest conquest. Once I have defeated the Fantastic Four, no power on Earth can stand in my way.
Good grief, another power-mad genius for us to contend with.
True, but I have one advantage. I have the use of Mr. Fantastic's scientific research which will now be turned against you.
Look, he faded away, and he left an opening in the crystal for us to enter through. He means it. He wants us to get inside and fight him. He actually thinks he can beat us. Well, what are we waiting for? I'll just toss a speedy blue flame fireball in there to make sure there aren't any little traps waiting for us. And what happened, Shane?
There's traps inside waiting for them.
As the explosion of the entranceway goes to show, as Reed says, Good thing you did that, Johnny. He had an explosive device rigged up. Well, it's not going to bother us anymore, so let's go and give that thinker something to really think about. Torchy, old pal, you're beginning to sound like me, and that's pretty good. You kidding? If I believed you, I'd never open my mouth again. Watch yourselves. No telling what little surprises the thinker has for us. And who suddenly appears before the Fantastic Four, Shane?
Some mobsters with their grav guns.
Here they come. Get 'em! And they begin to open fire. And Reed yells, Vibra guns. My own invention. The thinker must have found them in our arsenal. Take cover. Try to get out of range. The vibra sound vibrations will sap all the strength from you until they run out of power. And Sue places her hands on her ears. Oh, Reed, we can't let him beat us with your own weapons. Have no fear, baby. The thing's here. This'll stop those rays. Hey, he's pulling those walls together as if they're lace curtains. I don't want no part of him. Let me out of here. They can't get through steel, and that's just what these special walls are made of. And Ben crushes the two sides of the walls together between himself and the gangsters. But the thinker's visage appears on a view screen and says,
It is now 3:43 p.m. You have passed your first test as I expected you would, but you still have to get to the 35th floor.
Just sit tight, brother. We'll get there. You can bet on it. And Reed begins to stretch his body up through the elevator shaft, with Sue on his shoulders as Ben climbs up his torso. Johnny flies by them up the shaft and says, "He didn't think he could stop us by shutting off the elevators, did he?" "Take it easy, Ben. That's my skin you're hanging on to." "Complaints. All I ever get is complaints." But what suddenly happens?
Some smoke enters the chamber.
"Reed, the Thinkers hurled some gas cylinders at us." "It's not ordinary gas, Sue. I can tell by the odor. It's a formula of my own." "Well, don't keep us in the dark, partner. What does it do?" "I created it to use against enemies, to defeat them without harming them. It affects your sense of balance and of vision, makes everything look distorted to you." "Yeesh, I see what you mean." "And what does Reed mean, Shane?"
Ben shrinks but has a giant head, and the rest of them are all like look like they're falling, and Johnny's kind of looks weirdly off balance because it looks like his leg is like a circle. They're all just really getting messed with in their head.
Yeah, that's some true vertigo there, of a sort. "Thing, I have an idea. Quickly, while you still can. Wind Reed's body up. Twist him around. Hurry!" "Great idea, Susie Gal. I've been wanting to do this to Pretty Boy for a long time." "Faster, Ben, and tighter. That's it. I know what Sue is planning. It's the only thing to save us." And Ben twists Reed into a spiral until he yells, "Now let go!" Ha! And what does Reed do, Shane?
Reed spins like a tornado top. Twang.
And they reach the top of the elevator shaft now that the gas has been dispersed. And Johnny flies by a view screen upon which the Thinker watches and says, "It worked! The force of your spinning body dispelled all the gas. We reached the 35th floor." "And there's the Thinker watching us through our own view screen. What's he cooking up now?" Looking down the long corridor, the Fantastic Four realize they will not have long to wait for their answer. And what do they see ambling towards them?
They start to see a shadow of a figure from way down the hall. And as it approaches, they start to make out this android figure.
This awesome android figure?
Womp womp.
"For the love of Pete, what do you call that?" "Keep back, Ben. It seems to be alive, and yet it certainly isn't human." "Hey, look at the size of it! And what kind of face has it got?" "It isn't a face, merely a central gathering place for motor nerves and impulses. It's a form of artificial life created by the Thinker from my own notes. It's less than human, and yet, in some ways, more than human. It's a living android." And Johnny takes to the air once again and rushes towards the android. "Wait, Johnny, don't attack it yet. Not till we know more about it." "Oh, what do I have to worry about from a big hunk like that?" Suddenly, as the blazing torch flames towards it, the android spews forth a hurricane intensity blast of wind.
Whoosh.
Yow! It's like flying into the mouth of a tornado. It's blowing out my flame.
Whoosh.
"Step aside, playmates. As usual, I can see it's up to little old me to take care of this oversized rag doll." And Ben rushes forward and catches the android with a left cross. "Hey now, what's happening?" "I was afraid of that, Ben. The android has a power of mimicry built into it. It's turning into you." And we see the android adopt Ben's rocky texture. But it's still a bigger, stronger version of the thing. "Duck, Ben! Get away from it!" "What do you think I'm trying to do, mister?" And Ben manages to avoid a right cross of the android's own. But in doing so, falls on his keister, and Reed and Sue rush to help him up. "Thanks, Sue, for helping me pull him out of the way. Luckily, the android is slow moving. We've got a few seconds to think of some way to defeat it. All of you, stay back now. The thinker created him from my notes. In a way, he's my responsibility, and I'll find a way to nullify his power. Reed, I can't let you face that creature alone. If if anything should happen to you. If I can't stop you, Sue, then at least turn invisible. It may save your life. And Sue does indeed turn herself invisible as Reed wraps his pliable body around the android's torso and arms, restraining it. I'll try to keep him immobile as long as I can. If I remember my notes correctly, his motor nerve terminal is on his right side under his arm. You've got to press it, Sue. You mustn't miss. Can't can't hold him much longer. And what does Sue manage to do, Shane?
She manages to sneak up and tap that special spot to turn him off.
You did it, Sue. Your sensitive touch knocked out the android. Lucky for us that Sue was here. My fingers are too blunt. You couldn't free yours long enough, and the android would have seen the torch and kicked him away. And the four burst into Reed's lab to find who, Shane?
Oh, none other than the Mad Thinker.
It is 1 minute to 4. I calculated you would be here at this second if you defeated the android. So far, my deductions have been perfect.
That character seems to think this is one big game he's playing. We got your men trapped behind a wall of steel downstairs, and now we're going to put the kibosh on you, too. And Johnny begins to encircle the Mad Thinker with flame, but he pulls a gun on him.
Did you expect me to be unprepared for your flame? The chemical in this gun, which I took from Mr. Fantastic's cabinet, will douse your flame forever.
You call yourself the Thinker? Huh, you're not so much. All your weapons and powers are stolen from Mr. Fantastic.
Fool! Only someone as brilliant as I would have been able to outsmart your leader. Who do you think it was who arranged for all of you to leave New York? It was me! I arranged everything down to the last detail, and now, at last, I am arranging your finish. I have a separate antimatter shell zeroed in on each of you, again thanks to Mr. Fantastic, who invented this potent weapon. And so, at this second, at exactly the stroke of 4, just as I had planned, the Fantastic Four will meet their...
Bzzzt.
My gun! The shells! What has happened?
And Ben throws the Thinker to the floor and puts his weight on him to keep him down. We'll tell you all about it, Laughing Boy, after I mop up the place with you. And the Thinker reaches for his gun, and Reed stretches out an arm to keep him from grabbing it. Don't hurt him, Ben. He's powerless now. Quick, Johnny, destroy those deadly cylinders. And the torch begins to melt not only the Thinker's gun, but the cylinders, and says, I was hoping you'd ask. And Ben picks the Thinker up off the floor and holds him in the air by his collar.
How? How did you do it? How did you beat me?
I'll write him a letter, Reed. I'll make sure to clobber him. You overlooked one thing in your plans, Thinker. There's always an X factor to prepare for, the unexpected. Not knowing what we'd find when we invaded our building, I contacted Mr. Lumpkin, our postman, and told him to ring a special downstairs bell at exactly 4 o'clock. I'd previously set up an electrical circuit breaker which rendered all my equipment useless when that bell is rung, as a precaution against any enemy taking over my lab. Bah, you talk so much I got over my anger. And we see that Ben has now tied up the Thinker with some rope.
The X Factor. The unexpected. The human element. The one thing I didn't count on.
And Sue says, I sent for the police, Reed. And so, what do we see, Shane?
We see the police walking away with the Thinker wrapped up and the FF kind of trying to figure out where they go from here.
Next time it will be different. I shall plan for the X Factor too, and then nothing will foil me.
What makes you think there'll be a next time, fella? Says a cop who is escorting the Thinker from the room. And as Reed surveys the mess of his lab, he says, Quite a homecoming, eh, Sue? Well, there's never a dull moment anyway. Now hear this, kiddies. It's exactly 4 minutes after four, and the menace of the thinker is over. And we're all together again, as it should be. Wait till I get my fiddle, sis. I'll play hearts and flowers. For this I gave up a career in showbiz. I ought to have my head examined. The end. But not so fast, actually, because this issue includes another Fantastic Four pinup page. You want to go ahead and take us through that, Shane?
Yeah. So the pinup page looks like it's from probably the end of their kitchen, like breakfast nook, I guess if you would want to call it that. Reed standing up, Sue's in her chair, Johnny's flamed on, and Ben is kneeling in front. And mine is no, not even Sue. They're all look very mad in this picture. There's not a single smile.
I mean, they just had to clean up the house after the Mad Thinker was in it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have time for, smiling for a picture either. I'd be frustrated. Can't really blame
Yeah,
them.
if you want to put the pinup page right after that, but I highly doubt it. It just looks like it's a family photo, and they're all mad about the fact that they have a family photo
Sue
Fair enough,
seems
I
like
guess.
she's forcing a smile.
as much as she can. This is literally like that Christmas card you get from your cousin whose kids are like, we don't even talk to them. Why are we getting a Christmas card done?
I
You
mean,
all know what I'm talking
I
about.
know
You all have
exactly what
that
you're talking
cousin.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do look grumpy that they are posing for this picture. I think they were probably going for serious, and it didn't come across. No offense to Jack.
Yeah. We love Jack Kirby here at the Fantastic Four Cast, but it's everyone is very, very, very serious. Anyway, what were our thoughts on this issue?
Man, initially I struggled real hard reading this on lunch. And then I was able to come home and restart it, and I finished it in like a couple minutes. The first time through it wasn't doing it for me. The Mad Thinker is just not. I think he could have been a bigger threat than what he ended up being in here, which was just like a goofball that stole Reed's stuff.
Well, he'll get plenty of chances to try again because he is a frequent member of the Fantastic Four's Rose Gallery.
Yeah. So I mean, I just this first appearance, I mean, again, there's been lots of first appearances. I didn't like Doom's first appearance. You know that. Sometimes these Jack and Stan books just don't quite have that fun joy. They just have silliness, and it's like too silly, I guess.
For your taste, at the
What,
very least.
yeah, what about you?
I do think, as far as an introduction to a brand new villain, that it does err a little bit on the weaker side of the spectrum, just because it is a guy who goes, okay, I've literally thought of everything. I'm going to use all of your stuff against you, and then I'm going to somehow forget about the human element, despite the fact that, I mean, he figured out that a hot dog vendor was going to pass between himself and the pursuing police. That doesn't seem like a guy who would think about the human element or would forget about the human element, rather. So I don't know. It's part of at least the initial Mad Thinker appearance doesn't ring true for me. I do think
Well,
it's kind of a fun story, but at the same time, I also kind of go, all right, we're going to have an urgent moment where we call the entire team together because there's a crime wave coming. And then we're going to go, oh, let's go split ourselves around the country because there's a crime wave coming. I don't know. It, it's it's weird. It's a fun story, but it definitely has holes in it that pull me out of it.
yeah, like fact obvious, fact remote, fact incidental, probabilities, possibilities, and observations are literally on his chart in the book. The human element fills at least three of those categories itself.
How about you, Robbie? What did you think?
Well, I have to agree with both of you. I mean, the Mad Thinker, at least in this introduction, is, Mr. Contrived, for the most part. That's sort of his whole deal is that he can have thought of certain things that the writers require him to have thought of. But then, he misses like big obvious things as well. I think that some of the imagery is fun. I like that the story is about the characters being like, well, what if we go out on our own for a little while? Oh, actually, we don't like that. We worked better as a group. They come back. I like the idea of a villain using Reed's fantastic science-breaking inventions against him. It's a fun concept. Yeah, but like as a character, yeah, Mad Thinker, fun as it was to put words in his mouth or speak the words from his mouth. Not a stellar first introduction, but I can see the potential for the character. As someone who like can be a match for Reed, like sort of on his own level, who like thinks of everything, but who has that fatal villainous flaw of I think, as Johnny correctly pointed out, most of his thoughts not really his own. A lot of them are coming from calculators, from his computers, and from Reed's, journal. So that's what makes him the villainous alternative. He's not all these thoughts are not his own, actually, even though he's passing them off that way.
100% agree. And one thing that I do want to point out is that probably my favorite part about this book is maybe not so much the story because it does have those contrivances, but the artwork's pretty, at the very least. Like there's some stellar artwork here, courtesy of Kirby and Dick Ayers. So,
There's only one page that there was only one panel in this entire book that really threw me off.
is it the subject of your grumbling, or do you want to cover it now?
Oh no, it's not the subject of my grim grumbling. It's page 11, panel 1. His hands, his hands are as big as his head. And I don't mean like your hand can be as big as your head. Like they're like as big as his head. They're like a thick and wide. They're unproportionate to the rest of that man's body.
Yeah, I do see it. Um, he has that Jack Kirby, very manly man build and hands.
Except for your hands are still like they still need to be sized correct.
Let's
Unless
take
Kirby
the
had
camera right now.
massive hands. I don't think he did. I've seen a lot of pictures of him. I don't remember his hands being ungodly big.
I can see why it would pull you out of it when you look at it real closely. I don't think I looked at it as closely as that, but that's fair. Shall we go ahead and hit our Fantastic Four of the week?
Yeah,
So, since Robbie is our guest on the show, I say we should let him go first with Fantastic Frame, and we'll just work in kind of a snake order back and forth here.
sure.
So, Robbie, your Fantastic Frame, what was your favorite panel from this issue?
Definitely the panel showing an organ grinder's monkey committing, quote, accidental, unquote, arson. There's just something about that example of the thinker's prowess where it veers into the ridiculous a little bit, but just the image of the monkey with a lit match burning important papers in supposedly a derelict shed. For some reason the thinker knew that this monkey would do this thing. Apparently it's the monkey's nature, I guess. He's got the monkey element down. It's the human element that confounds him. There's something, I don't know, delightful about it. It made me smile. I like it.
That's page 6, panel 5. But yeah, just Arson Monkey is hilarious. It does make me giggle. So,
What's yours, bud?
all right. Well, if I am going to pick a favorite panel, it's actually page 14, panel 4. And that is the close up on Ben as he's waiting for his wrestling opponent to come boomeranging back to him. The thing I really like about this is, we're now 15 issues in. We've got Jack Kirby's Ben Grimm pretty much in almost fully developed form, if not fully developed form. And it's just a really nice close up as he's getting ready to clobber somebody. Very cool image of the thing. I would love to have this on my wall somewhere, quite frankly. You don't even have to remove the word balloons or anything. It's just a really cool shot of Ben and a definitive one for this issue. How about you, Shane?
Mine is page 17, panel 1. where they're all discombobulated, and like Ben looks like a little chibi Ben.
Right on.
I I I thought that was fun.
Very surrealistic. Do enjoy that. All right. Well then, Shane, on the flip side, what was your grumbling for today's issue?
How easily all of them fell for the silly plots to get them to leave. That was mine. I couldn't pin it down to one. Like you kept bringing up the fact that he said there all the villains are coming and blah blah. Mine was literally just like your cousin came and said, "Hey, my circus is failing." Well, you know what? I think that I will leave New York City, where I've had this one girl that's wanted to date me for like ever, and just go join the circus. That sounds fun from Johnny. And like Sue, like, oh, I always wanted to be an actress. And literally, was it last issue? Was it last issue where they tried to get Ben to fight somebody for wrestling? Or was it 2 issues ago?
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago.
And then General Electric wouldn't need Reed at one because they like especially at this point they printed their own money by they were our lead designers of most train engines when we were switching over to diesel. So like what what
Yeah, I get it. And it does actually work into my grumbling, which was definitely, if I'm narrowing it down, is page 10, panel 3. Just Reed saying, "Yeah, I know there's trouble, but let's go on vacation anyway." Like, what is going on? It just makes no sense. Like, yeah, we can get back to New York in a hurry, but you've got advance warning that something's going to happen. This whole situation is just preventable if they just go, "Hey, there's a crime wave. We should stay home." Kind of a contrivance. What about you, Robbie? What was your grim grumbling?
Well, there were a few things that I think raised my eyebrows, but I had to really roll my eyes, I think. And this is something very particular. When Sue defeats the android, I have nothing against that, but I did roll my eyes at the need to meticulously go over how it is her sensitive femininity that achieved this goal, which I realize is just, we're coming out of the 1960s here. It, makes perfect sense, but it's just something that nowadays definitely, we wouldn't need to really overly emphasize the sensitive touch knocking out the android, the exactly right size of her feminine fingers for the task. Maybe it's a small thing, but it's one of those things that's just reminds me, oh yes, I am reading a document from 1961.
1963, but I get your point.
1963. Novice here. Don't worry.
It's all good.
it's not it does like yeah 63 61 it was going to be written the same way either way. Robbie, it wasn't getting better.
Probably much later than that too, if we're
uh,
being honest.
like 81.
Yeah, that's about what I thought. I mean, heck, I'm
And
sure you
even
could
that
find
has
it
its
today if you looked hard.
even
No,
that has
even
its problems. Even
even
even stuff in
81.
91.
Yeah, yeah, even stuff in 81 has its problems.
All right. Well, Robbie, we're gonna move along to our cosmic cliffhanger. What left you in the most suspense this week?
I'm going to say the android's entrance page. That last panel where Reed is explaining exactly what the amazing android is. It's been shown on the cover, so we kind of know it's coming. The design of the android is pretty unique, in my opinion. And it's just introducing a new unknown element into this situation for them to overcome. I don't know. I thought it had a lot of gravitas.
I'm right there with you. That was actually my pick as well. It's page 17, panel 7. Mine was, more driving like what powers are possessed by this awesome android. And we find out that he can mimic things, which is incredibly cool. Allows him to match the Fantastic Four on their level. Plus, I mean, I just really like the character of the android. You wouldn't know it from this book, but he actually ends up with a heck of a lot of character development coming forward. So it's just really neat to see where we get his first appearance and trying to figure out what's going to come of it in this issue. How about you, Shane?
Uh, page 15, panel 9. When Johnny decides to blast a little fireball into the hole that was put into the side of the building. That's good character growth for Johnny to be like, hey, maybe there's a trap. Maybe I shouldn't just go flying in head first, you know?
Not the first time he's done that actually, but still, I think the last time he did something like this, you also picked that as your cosmic cliffhanger, which I believe
Yeah.
was with the red ghost on the moon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so that was what? That's 12? Is that issue 12?
Yeah.
So from like that first 11, Johnny was just a hothead. Now from 12, we're starting to see that character growth that we finally get to today. I mean, he's still a hothead, but he at least uses his brain a little bit now.
Yep. And you get to find out whether or not there's traps or not. So,
Yeah.
all right, Shane, that means that you are going to lead off with your MFP for this issue. Who was your most fantastic player?
Yeah, I had a really hard time with this, but I ended up going with Johnny from making sure that I didn't get hit with the traps when he made sure that the rocket bomb things kind of got hot and did again attack the android head on without thinking, but that led at least them to get an idea of what his basic premise was before Ben went and clobbered him and all.
Okay.
I was thinking about giving it to Reed, but I can't give it to Reed because Reed is the reason that they had all of the shenanigans happen to them in the first place. So he's as problematic as the Mad Thinker.
I am right there with you. I literally, as you know, I tend to tally these things up like deeds people did. I actually started read at -1 because of my grim grumbling with him being like, "Let's all go on vacation anyway." That actually put him in the hole before I went and started doing my tally. Upon doing that, my MFP ended up being Sue because not only does she deactivate the android, but I mean, in her spare time, she's out there entertaining orphans. Like gold star to Sue. She deserves it for this issue as far as I'm concerned. You really get to see that she's, in it for the community. Plus, her supple feminine touch uh took down that rock hard android.
Yep.
Very true.
That subtle feminine touch definitely brought the rock hard android to its knees.
Yep.
Yes, it did.
All right. What about you, Robbie? What was your MFP for the issue?
Well, you already know what I'm going to say. Shane might enjoy this, but for me, for several reasons, I have to give it to Mr. Lumpkin.
Ooh.
The mail deliverer saving the day by pushing that downstairs bell. He didn't have to do that. I'm sure that was out of his way. He didn't have to. And if he hadn't done that, then they never would have defeated the Thinker. So I think we got to give some credit where credit's due here. The Thinker is not the only one who can operate on contrived logic. If Reed hadn't managed to convince this postman to go off route at a weird time of day to push a doorbell on the Baxter building, the day would not have been won.
And
I
could you
mean, he
imagine?
finally got his dream of joining the Fantastic Four for a day.
And could you imagine? He could have been late. Like the mail does run late sometimes.
No,
That's true. It was
it does
exactly at four
now.
o'clock. Yeah, it was exactly at 4 o'clock.
All right. So we've got Johnny and Sue and Willie Lumpkin. That's a good range.
As long as
Oh,
no one gave it to the guy that's the problem, which was Reed.
yeah, yeah. My boy was kind of problematic this time around.
Not his best showing, for sure.
Well, folks, if you want to check out this story for yourselves, it has been reprinted and collected multiple times. The first time was back in August of 1967 in Marvel Collector's Item Classics number 10. The Spanish speaking market was first able to check this out in Los Cuatros Fantásticos number 8. back in 1970. Over in the UK, it first made its way to you in Mighty World of Marvel Volume 1, numbers 30 and 31 in April, May of 1973. It was again reprinted in Giant Size Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 5 in May of 1975. Again, it was reprinted in the UK in Complete Fantastic Four numbers 30 and 31 in April of 1978. First time it was collected in trade paperback was Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 2 in October of 1988. You can also check it out in those essential editions that Shane likes so much. The Essential Fantastic Four Volume 1 from November of 1998, where it was reprinted on newsprint paper in black and white. I would have read it out of my Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 1 from January of 2005, had I had it at my disposal. Over in the UK, again, you can find a more recent reprint in Fantastic Four Adventures Volume 1, numbers 15 and 16 from August and September of 2006. Shane, your Epic Collections. It was in Epic Collection Volume 1 of the Fantastic Four, the world's greatest comic magazine, back in September of 2014. We also had a dollar option with True Believers Fantastic Four Mad Thinker and Awesome Android number 1 from February of 2018. And most recently, in Mighty Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 2, The Micro World of Doctor Doom in January of 2022. You can also find it on Marvel Unlimited or on a key wall at your local comic book store. Sadly, the Mad Thinker doesn't really make it into other media all that much. I think he showed up on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but we don't have a direct other media adaptation of the story to discuss this week. So, Shane, would you be interested in hearing what we're covering next week?
Sure.
We are going to return to The Thing, Volume 4, Issue 2 by Tony Fleeks and Justin Mason. As always, true believers, your feedback is important to us. We would highly appreciate it if you left us a review on Apple or a comment or review on Spotify. You can subscribe to us on your preferred listening platform so we show up in your feed each and every week. Also, follow us on Facebook at the Fantastic Four Fancast, where we encourage you to engage in FF-related discussions and share Fantastic Four content. We only ask that you adhere to our group rules, the most important of which is to be respectful of your fellow group members. You can also follow us on Instagram at Fan4Fancast. That is FAN, the number 4, FANCAST. Finally, you can contact us by email with any feedback or suggestions at fan4fancast@gmail.com. Again, that is FAN, the number 4, FANCAST @gmail.com. Robbie, Shane, do we have any final thoughts on Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 15?
Seems
You,
like
Robbie?
a classic fun time to me. That's what it looks like. And don't let your monkeys commit arson, people.
But monkey arson is the best time.
Not if
Yeah,
it's helping the mad thinker.
I think you're not looking at it positively enough.
Well, maybe in a future issue there will be positive monkey arson.
You gotta wonder who he stole that idea from, right?
That is an excellent question.
Because obviously he's just stealing other people's ideas and feeding them into a computer.
It's Indiana Jones that had the evil monkey, right?
Hmm. Yeah, bad dates.
Bad dates.
Because he's up there tossing the dates to eat, and he's about to catch
Yep.
it, and John Rhys Davies catches it, Gimli himself. Yeah, I might watch Indiana Jones from time to time.
That was a good callback.
It's not like you're the biggest George Lucas fan in the world.
I don't know if I'm the biggest, but I'm definitely very big.
All right. Well, Robbie, thank you for joining us this week. It was a pleasure having you on the show. To
Thank
you and
you. It's
Shane
been
all
lovely to be here and lovely to have you in San Diego.
Shane, as
Yeah,
always, it's the highlight of my week to talk about the Fantastic Four with you. Can't wait to do it again next week. And we hope that you'll join us again next week as well. For Robby Nixon and Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles. Until next time, stay fantastic.
stay classy, San Diego.